Welcome to Timeless Quilts in Missoula, Montana. I'm Eliza and I will be showing you the basics of pinning. First of all, you'll want to select your pin. It can kind of be overwhelming when you go to the store and there are so many options. Basically, you just need to match the pin to your project. So if you're doing something like applique, there are little tiny pins that you can use that will work really well with applique. Most of the time, you can use the pin that has the little colored ball at the end of it. Those are really nice because you can see where your pins are and you can take them out of the fabric very easily. You also can find lots of cute pins that are just a preference for you. Like these ones, they have a little leaf or some have flowers on the end of it. So those are fun just to kind of jazz up your sewing room. You'll also want to get a pin cushion. Basic tomato is always a nice classic. There are lots of other fabric pin cushions that you can get. It's nice if they have the strawberry on the end of it. That is actually to help sharpen your needles. It's filled with emery, so you can just stick your needle in it a few times and it'll keep your needles very sharp. If you do notice that you have to kind of force the pin into the fabric, that means that your pins are getting dull. So you can either try sharpening them or get a new pack of pins. And then you also have the option of getting a magnetized pin cushion. Those are really nice because if you're sewing along and you're kind of going pretty quick, you can just toss them in the general direction of the pin cushion and it'll catch it for you. So those are nice, and you can even get ones that keep the sharp end of the pin in the center of the magnet, so those are very nice as well. When you're doing something like binding a quilt or a smaller craft project that has binding clips are really nice to use because you don't have to pin through so many layers of fabric. So there are a couple different styles. These ones look kind of like hair barrettes, but they are very nice to use when putting on your binding. So when you are pinning, for most fabrics, cottons, most jerseys, you can pin on either side of your seam. If it is a fabric that you don't want to show any of the holes or it'll really be noticeable, then you can just pin within your seam allowance. And then when you are done stitching and you turn it right side out, you won't see any of those holes. But for cottons, it's just fine to pin it on either side of the seam. And then when you are sewing, put it in the machine here so you can see, it's really nice to have the pins perpendicular to the machine with the ball on the right hand side if you're right-handed, because then as you're sewing you can just pull the pin out very easily and you don't have to worry about it. Also, when you're sewing along, you'll want to stop before you get to your next pin. Take it out so that you don't hit it with the needle, because if you do that, it can either bend your needle, break it, anything like that. That's really unfortunate when you're in the middle of a project because then you have to take it out, put in a new needle. Not so much fun. So just remember to stop right before it, take it out, and then you can continue on. So also, with the number of pins, it really doesn't matter. It's what you're comfortable with. So if it's something like that where it's a straight stitch, you can just use a few of them and you'll be fine. If it's something like a curve, especially if you're putting sleeves in, it's really nice to just use a ton of pins because you don't want anything shifting or having to do this sleeve 15 times. So it's also, as you get more comfortable, you can use less pins, but use as many as you need, and that really helps you get the best product when you are working on your project. So thank you for watching this video on pinning, and stay tuned for our next video when we continue looking at these basics of sewing.